a subject that we discussed last week, which was a preview of Unite's conference, where there was a vote on possibly disaffiliating from the Labour Party. And I wanted to find out what happened at the conference, the Unite conference in Brighton. I'm just going to play a short clip, which is from Sharon Graham's Twitter feed. And then we're going to talk to Joanne Harris.
My desire to win for workers, none of that means that we do not push Labour and we do not push the government. Of course we do, but we cannot rely on them either. I'm political conference, of course I am. But the difference is, I know that the real power comes from the workplace. This is who we are. This is how we began. This is how Labour began. From the ground up, not top down. Conference, this is why we need to focus on the political demands that matter to workers, not the Westminster bubble. We will only spend money when we believe that our members are getting value for it. And I said when I was elected, it was one of the first things that I said, that there will be no blank cheques for Labour. This government, yes, it's a disgrace. What they're doing is abhorrent. But they're doing exactly what it says on the Tory tin. Tories do what Tories do. But I tell you this, conference, I expect Labour to do exactly what it says on the Labour tin. Be Labour. And of course we want to get rid of a Tory government. Of course we do. And of course we want to do that. But that should not be an excuse for not holding Labour's feet to the fire. We cannot allow them to get away with what they're doing just because they're better than the other lot. So Keir Starmer needs to have a real think. Whose side are you on?
Hi, Joanne. How are you doing?
Morning, Christian. Morning, everyone.
So you were delegates at the Unite conference. You were there, I suppose, when Sharon Graham made that speech. Mm-hmm. Now, we were talking last week about possibility of disaffiliation, and it obviously that vote didn't get through and wasn't passed. However, Sharon, in that clip, she's saying that they'll hold Unite will hold Labour's feet to the fire. Yep. How do you see that as possible without well, if you're disaffiliated, you can't hold anything to anything, I suppose. But what's your view on this?
Well, to start with, I mean, don't forget it was a rules conference bolted onto a policy conference. First time we've ever done that, and it was a pretty long-winded affair, starting from 8 days. And it was actually the rules conference that voted against disaffiliation at the beginning, because we had a few motions in there that were slightly contentious in saying that any branch or committee of Unite could vote for any party it likes. And of course, if you do that, if you don't vote for Labour, then you get chucked out. And let's face it, even on the show this morning, every single thing that's been said on this show about the NHS, bad pay, the attacks on workers' rights, that's all Tory. That's 13 years of Tory austerity that we've had to sit through. So no, do the members at Unite love Starmer? Absolutely not. We mostly, I mean, I especially, I followed Corbyn all over the place, and it was disgraceful I mean, I've been attacked for anti-Semitism as well. And talking to the members as I do when I'm at these, nobody wanted to disaffiliate. We want to hold them to ransom. We're going to give them the affiliation fee, which is the barest minimum that you can actually give them. But we want to be in there from fighting all the way through. I actually spoke on this debate, and my view is, look, on the right, we've got a wall that's really high, and that's the Tory party. We can't get in, we can't talk. They just want to destroy everything. Another 5 years of Tory rule will decimate this country. There'll be no NHS. There'll be no trade union rights. There'll be no workers' rights. And we'll be lucky if we ever get a pay rise at all. At least with Labour, it's our Labour, and we want it back. Now, Labour leaders come and go, but the unions will always be here. And if Starmer doesn't deliver, he doesn't get the money, and we pile the pressure on as much as we can. We're talking to all other unions as well that are affiliated, not many now, but some will work from the outside and some from the inside, but we'll always be there. Starmer came down on Thursday to a very lackluster reception. There was not many people out. There was a demonstration going on outside that he had to battle his way through, which is quite funny. But when he spoke to us, let's look at what he actually said. Not a lot, as usual, you know, political waffle. And he was told not to give us too much political waffle because we're not that stupid. But he said he would repeal the anti-trade union laws of 2016. Well, that's not all the trade union laws, you know, and he waffled around that one. He wanted to ban 0-hour contracts, no more fire and rehire. And he actually said we need strong unions to look after its members and to fight for better wages. He gave us 3 points on which he wanted to build on, and is having a new investment energy policy. But no word of nationalisation, of course. You know, it's all staying there. A new institution on publicly owned power, whatever that meant. And his third point was actually the same as his second point. I don't think not many people picked up on that, but it was a new institution again for power. So I think he got himself a bit lost. We were allowed 6 questions, but they were pre-done questions, obviously, and he'd already been given those. So, and again, it was.
Right, so I mean, that doesn't sound like he's had a bad time there, then, particularly.
No, you know, there was so much talk of holding protests, getting up and turning your back on him, and nothing really happened. But it was sort of, you know, yeah, all right. And that was all he got in the end, really. He just wandered off to this almost silence. Right. So let's face it, Unite aren't right-wingers. You know, this delegation was not right-wingers. We hate it as much as everybody else hates it. But from the inside, we can lump on the pressure, and we can almost bankrupt them if we don't give them any money. You know, and we can all work against it.
I mean, he's getting 5 million from a guy who was a supporter of apartheid in South Africa. I mean, that's more money than Unite's giving him. He's finding money from elsewhere, isn't he? The money is probably not an issue, is it?
If you think back to the Len days, you know, Len would go, 15 million, yeah, no problem, mate. Here you go. And he'd be waffling off checks like that, but it ain't gonna happen.
Right. Really. Well, look, I was sent some footage of the protest outside that I'm going to play, and I've also, I think Sheila Days put her hand up. She was in the hall. I think she protested against him. I was going to play some of the footage from the protest outside.
Yeah, well, we're standing outside the Unite conference to give Starmer the welcome he deserves. We object to him being invited to speak at the Unite conference, considering he's doesn't like trade unions, and we've been told to treat him with respect. Well, until he treats us with respect, why should we? Many people, some of the delegates, have been told that they're not to do anything. Some of them, having been leafleting for 2 days, have said to me they're frightened of being suspended. So why should Starmer's, you know, the fear, why should that be in Unite?
Well, we're protesting against Keir Starmer being invited here I mean, it came as a last-minute decision, and you know, we are so upset at the fact that he has reneged on all the promises, all the lies that he told in order to become leader, and now he's just like Tory. I mean, what he's proposing is nothing other than keep on going. He's talking he's going to have the same Tory spending policy as the outgoing, and they are outgoing, the outgoing Conservative Party. And we're also angry at Unite, at the way in which they have tried to suppress the film, which I have a small part in, of Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie, which exposes the anti-Semitism scam that was in the Labour Party.
This is a demonstration against probably one of the most racist Labour Party leaders we've ever had the misfortune to have, and somebody who clearly is proud to be a racist. So when he said, Keir Starmer, I'm a Zionist without qualification, he has no hesitation in supporting a state that bombs innocent women, children, civilians, that devastates a refugee camp in Jenin and Nablus, and that has consistently violated international law for the last 70 years. This is the new leader of the Labour Party, and this is the person who gets his MPs to abstain against the legislation, the anti-boycott legislation, to abstain against the police bill, who clearly has no commitment whatsoever or any class consciousness, who instructs MPs not to join picket lines. There's very little that anyone can say which is worthy of a leader of the Labour Party. And while Corbyn may have made mistakes, may have not been strong enough, should have fought more, should have defended members more, there's no doubt that what we have ahead of us is going to be a position which makes no difference to anyone if Labour win the next election. And as a Palestine solidarity activist, I'm actually really frightened about what may happen when Keir Starmer becomes the official Prime Minister of this country.
And Unite now is policing its own members on behalf of Starmer and the Labour Party. I mean, that's why they've banned the showing of the film Jeremy Corbyn, The Big Lie, on Unite premises. The pretext is union resources, but we know what the real reason is, of course, is because it might offend the leader of the Labour Party and those around him. So we see the trade union bureaucracy really marching hand in hand with the leaders of the Labour Party, who are vehemently opposed to any workers' struggle to increase their own standard of living. That's the reality of it.
Right, and now joining us is Sheila Day. Sheila, you were at the conference and you spoke up, didn't you, when he came in? Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I was just a visitor to the conference. I wasn't a delegate. I'm campaigns officer of our local South East Unite branch. So I left the demonstration outside, where we had a lot of support, by the way, from delegates going in. There were some that didn't agree with us, obviously, but there's pure, utter dislike and distaste for Starmer is really, really clear. My intention was just to sort of try and disrupt a little bit. And I was really shocked at that there was virtually no security. Just Stop Oil could have gone in there and just covered everyone in whatever they liked. There would have been nobody to have stopped them. So it was a bit of a damp squib, really, because all I did, I listened to him. First of all, he came on patronising Sharon Graham, saying, oh, you know, well done, how good it is, you're the first woman leader of a major trade union. And I'm thinking, well, why didn't you step aside for one of the women standing against you, if that's what you think? So hypocrite from the minute he opened his mouth. And then the delegate that did sort of welcome him, not really welcome him, but give the introductory speech to him, he said that the union's policy is to renationalise energy. And he got a huge round of applause for that. But Starmer, on notice, did not applaud. He just sat there. And then he went on to say to Sharon Graham, oh, Sharon, he's very patronising. Sharon's always very straight with me. She always speaks her mind. So what he's saying, he said, I respect that, But then what he didn't say was, but I totally disrespect your entire membership because I've got no intentions of renationalising energy. And then he went on to say, it was only a few minutes in, I was going to listen to the whole thing and then say something at the end, I couldn't be bothered. He started to say, my party. So I stood up and shouted, it's not your party, you're a lying Tory scab, stuck my fingers up to him and walked out. And there was security gathering at the top of the steps, but I said, oh, you don't need to bother, I'm gone. I said, I'm meeting a couple of comrades for lunch and I do want to keep it down so I can't listen to any more of this old shit, and left. And that was about it, really. But I mean, he's disgusting. What I wanted to say is that Starmer doesn't care what Sharon Graham or anybody in any union thinks. He just doesn't care. He's made that so blatant. It's the only thing he's not being hypocritical about, is that he shows his disgust and his contempt for workers. And we need a general strike, maybe 24 hours to start off with, but we've got a useless trade union leaders in the most part. You know, we've got some great ones as well. You know, we've got people that are fighting. And when there's, can I just say one thing? I know it's not exactly related to the conference, but my granddaughter, she's trained as a dispensing technician in a pharmacy, and she wants to go to university at some point to train to be a pharmacist, but she can't because she's not even eligible for a loan because she didn't pass her GCSEs the first time, her maths and English. She had to retake it at a college, and that's been smuggled in quietly by the Tories and no one talking about it. But anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you,
Sheila. I just want to. I'm just going to play a clip now of what Keir Starmer's team did with the footage from the Unite conference, because I think it shows how possibly he's using Unite. I mean, anyway, this is what he says here. Sorry to everyone for having to watch this.
Mark my words, there is an opportunity here. A chance to tilt the direction of this country firmly and decisively towards working people. Win the battle of ideas, not just next year, but for a generation. But look, there is one key word there: win. That's my job, and I make no apologies for pursuing it. We will stay focused. We will stay disciplined. Keep our eyes firmly fixed on the future. You can't grow the economy sustainably with low wages. You can't do it with insecure jobs and bad work. That's why we'll ban zero-hour contracts, strengthen parental rights, rights to flexible working, better protections for pregnant women, close the ethnicity pay gap, fundamental rights from day one, statutory sick pay for all, no more one-sided flexibility, no more fire and rehire. That's what we're fighting for. A Britain with its future back, united, moving forward, standing tall, that delivers security, backs aspiration, higher living standards for all, and commits, truly commits, to the interests of working people.
I won't play the end, it's horrible. What I'd like to ask you about that, Joanne, is it looks to me like he's used Unite's conference to make him look like he's one of the people. So is that not counterproductive that he's been allowed to go there, do this little speech, have a film, everyone looks like they're clapping, and you know, is that a bad thing, really?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't make the decision. In fact, it was sprung on us. We didn't even know Starmer was coming down until probably Monday, Tuesday. And it was a bit of a shock, I have to admit. You know, and I don't think any of us are Starmer fans. We all know he's lied his teeth off all the way through, you know, to get elected in the first place. And but we are still sitting there thinking on the opposite side. Do we want 5 more years of Tory rule? It's that simple. We're not going to stand that. The country's going to be destroyed. If we can, you know, we're going to throw everything at Starmer, absolutely everything, to, you know, to make him keep up to these promises when we're in there. But we can't, you know, 5 more years of Tory rule is going to kill us. There'd be nothing left.
I think there's a lot of people saying that Starmer rule would be bad. I mean, you talked about. You talked about the Palestine issue. I mean, it's in that clip as well. I mean, surely, as someone who said he's totally committed to Israel. I mean, that's dangerous.
There's no more against this issue than myself. I've been to Palestine with Unite delegations twice, and I've been out there and I've seen for myself on the West Bank and the Jordan and all that, and I'm a big promoter of PSC, you know, and I'm a member. And yes, he's got to stop that. He's admitted to being a Zionist, and that's where it really, you know, I actually told Sharon in that conversation, which wasn't shown, that I told him to take the book and the rule book and go whack Starmer around the head with it, because he needs to listen and he needs to you know, follow through with his promises. But we can't afford another 5 years of Tory rule.
Right, okay. That's your mantra then. No,
yeah,
thank you.
It seems to be, yeah. I'm sorry about that, but that's
all right.